Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. In this video, we're going to be continuing our exploration of quick measures in Power BI Desktop and alternative ways to do them. Maybe you could say better ways of doing them. And today, in this video, we're going to be covering filtered value. Now, you might be saying to yourself, Greg, certainly you can't screw up something as simple as filtering a value. Well, one would think. All right, so quick review of the data model. If you've been watching any of these videos, this should look pretty familiar. I have a dates table, and I created, and the difference here is I created a year column, but it's just a simple dates table, right, using calendar for the year 2022. And I have this guy right here, which is my fact table, where I'm generating two random values for every day of the year. And again, I do have a month sort, month column, quarter, and year as well. So standard stuff. So let's take a look at filtered value. So filtered value, as you can tell, if I do new quick measure, it's the next on the lane. We've covered average per category. We've covered, that covers these because they're all the same. And we also covered weighted average per category. There's little tiny differences between that one. And then we have this next one up is filtered value. Of course, so for example, I can grab my value from my base for my base value, and for my filter, I can choose something like quarter from either dates or table, and then it gives me this little drop down, and I can click like 2, for example, or I can click multiple ones if I want to. But that's how you create it, right? And it generates this measure right here. So, I mean, it looks pretty innocuous, right? Should work, no problem, right? It's pretty simple. It does unnecessarily use calculate, but, or whatever. Let's see how it actually works in a visual where I'm pulling my quarter in my table from, as the x-axis, right? So let's go ahead and add for 2 in there. And what? You may be saying to yourself, what's going on? You would think I'm using quarter down here as my x-axis, and it's going to filter, create a filter for this. And if I'm, if you're reading this, it's like, wow, I should only be getting data back for quarter 2. Well, you are, but yeah, you may be wondering why is it showing up in quarter 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And I've alluded to this before, where calculate isn't really very well suited for single table data models. And that it really wants to operate within a star schema where things like, attributes, whatever, the fact table just contains numbers, and anything that you're going to slice it by or do anything like that is coming from a dimension table. Well, let me go into a little bit more explanation as to what is going on here. Okay, so as you can see over here, I am pulling my x-axis is table quarter. Well, my calculate statement also uses table quarter. So what happens in this case, and this is why we get these weird results, is that the calculate statement, the filter clause, is replacing any context filters that are currently active on the visual. So for example, because I have a table quarter already in context for the visual, right, in the x-axis, well, then this table quarter replaces that because they're operating on the same table, same column. Okay, so that is why, even though I have quarter 3, well, because I have a filter clause in my calculate statement that says table quarter in 2, that replaces the filter context within the visual that operates on the quarter column in the table. Hope that makes sense, but that's how calculate works, right? So if, for example, I pull in this one, I'm pulling my quarter from my dates table, and I use that same measure, then it works like I guess you might expect, right? And you don't get that weirdness going on. In the same thing, whereas I think this year is coming from, I should have hovered over it first. This year is coming from table, so if I use my value for 2, I also only get quarter 2, right? Because the year context comes into play. So it respects that because there's nothing in the calculate filter clause that conflicts with that filter. And then it adds in, so it adds in the quarter filter in addition to the year filter. So now I'm filtering by year, by quarter. So that's how it works in terms of calculate. But, you know, again, the issue of using calculate and in that is that it's see, it acts weird in single table models. And here's the thing, I'd be willing to bet, and I'd be willing to bet money on this. I have no proof of this whatsoever, but I'd be willing to bet significant amount of money that the vast majority of Power BI desktop data models, that are either worked on or published to the service, that they are single table data models. In fact, I'd be willing to bet that the vast majority of those data models are single table data models. I have no proof to back that up, but I'd be willing to bet a lot of money on it. So having quick measures that only operate successfully in star schemas and that sort of thing, and can give wonky results when dealing with single table data models is not a good idea in my book. Why would you create a quick measure for new users of Power BI Desktop that just fundamentally doesn't work with the majority of the data models that people are going to be using against? It's like Microsoft completely missed the boat on this, and not just by a little, right? We're talking that the boat's 40 miles, out to sea, and they're jumping in up from the shore. That's how badly they missed the boat on this, in my opinion. Right? They should have made quick measures operate against single table data models and against star schemas and snowflake schemas and all of that, and thought about it that way, because you get real results. And it's unfortunate because I think there's hasn't been a lot of investment in quick measures since that Power BI Desktop launched, right? There may be 3 or 4 quick measures have been added. I think it's too bad, and there's probably a reason for that, right? Probably Microsoft has telemetry out there saying nobody uses quick measures. Well, and if that's the reason why they're not investing in quick measures, I think it's sad because the reason people don't use quick measures is because the quick measures don't work with the data models that people create. And that's the reason you get, if you use quick measures, you get stupid results back, then you're not going to use them, right? Whereas if they had constructed their quick measures in a different manner, trying to be nice here, but in a different manner, then I think they would be used more. So let's get off my soapbox now. Let's go ahead and take a look at a better filtered value. And as you might suspect, it involves, oh, look, a table variable and a sum x and an x aggregator, right? So all I'm doing in my table var is I'm just using a simple, you would think that a filter values, quick measure would you actually use filter, but whatever, we actually do in ours. So filter table for quarter in 2. Looks very similar to the filter clause, right? It's the same filter clause, more or less, from Microsoft's built-in filtered value. And then I just do a sum of x across that table. And let's see what it, oh, look at that. So in this one, I have my quarter coming from my table, and I actually get an intelligent result, right? so and actually I have the quarter showing up just for quarter 2, but I'm using the quarter as my x-axis. And because this process is not doing anything crazy like replacing filters or anything like that. It's just doing simple, like, okay, give me the table, whatever's in context, and then filter it down to quarter is in 2. That's it. Simple, right? So yeah, and then it also works. So it works in single table data model. And this quarter actually is coming from my dates table. So it actually works here as well, right? So, and it also works with my year coming from my table. I can put it in here as well, and I get the right value. I should have data labels turned on for these, but whatever. We can see it in the tooltip. You can't see it, there you go. Okay, that's the same value that you're getting over here. It's the same value we're getting over here, right? Okay, so now let's take a little bit another example, and this was just weirdness. Okay, this is just plain weirdness. So what if when I was creating my quick measure, right, I go over here and said, what if so it's quick measure, new quick measure, and I was saying, okay, filtered value, my base value is coming from table, and my filter, I'm going to use month, and it lets me select some values, and I can select, a couple of values from here, whatever it is. I think I did June when I created this, June, September. I just tried to choose some from different quarters, if you will. So this is how I created this quick measure right here. And look what you get back. Okay, what is wrong with this? Can anybody say? Where did that all table month sort come from? You guys saw how I created it. There's nowhere that I put in month sort. It shouldn't even be a factor in this equation, right? I chose table value and I chose my month from table. Where did it pick up this all table month sort from? Well, the only thing I can reasonably conclude is that's because I have a sort by column on my month column. And so for whatever reason, it added that in. See that all table month sort, right? So it's like, what? So now if I use this, get rid of that. Let's add this in here. Now, we'll add in that version, right? And we actually get back the right results because, right, we're using quarter as our axis, and we're using, but we're using the filter clause of our calculate statement is using month, so they don't overlap. So nothing's being replaced. And so therefore, I'm getting back the right answers on this. And then you can go through and do the math on this, but yeah, these are coming out with the right answers per quarter. Okay, because again, the quarter, filter is not being replaced, it's being respected by the calculate, and then it's adding in the month filter. Okay, but it has that weird, freaky all table month sort in there. Is that really necessary? So if we just take it out, right? Take it out. Then what happens? Okay, same answers. Same answers, right? What is that doing in there? What somebody please explain to me how and why that suddenly popped in there when just because I had a sort by column set. So it's mind-boggling sometimes. So now, I can do the same thing, right? Same thing, I can recreate that measure that I just did. I filter table month in, blah, 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 and then some X across the table, and it works, right? I get the same answers all across the board. Just works. And it works in more scenarios than the calculate version of it, right? So, and again, I think Microsoft missed the boat on quick measures by demanding that they all include calculate, which basically implicitly indicates that they're not going to work very well in single table data models, which I believe are the vast majority of data models that are out there for Power BI. So that is my conclusion. Microsoft missed the boat on this one on quick measures, and it's a shame. It's a real shame because new users, I think, could be, if the quick measures were designed in a way that they worked with the actual data models that new users use, single tables, I think they'd have gotten a lot more traction. It'd be a lot more used, and it's just unfortunate. So there it is for today. Things are unfortunate. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will catch everyone next time.